Welcome to this Yin Yoga practice for pelvic floor relaxation. We begin today in a melting heart pose. So for the full expression, you can come to an all-fours position, lowering the chest towards the floor, keeping hips over knees. Or you have the option of using a bolster. So if you use a bolster, you come in the same way. Just allow your chest to rest on the bolster and take whatever little adjustments you need to find some comfort here, trying to make sure that the hips are stacked somewhat over the knees. So taking any final adjustments before we begin this relaxation. And as we begin the relaxation, I want you to notice how it feels in your body. Try to allow your hips to just float above your knees. Now you may need to make some adjustments through this practice, and that's okay. Notice how it feels in your rib cage. Allow the weight of the rib cage to be heavy on the bolster. If you're in the full expression, then you're allowing the rib cage to relax towards the floor. Try to find stillness. Notice how it feels in your shoulders. Can you allow a softness to reach through the shoulders all the way down to the hips? Allow your belly to hang. Try to be effortless in this position, just surrendering your body either into the bolster or into the floor. And as you're doing this, I want you to bring your awareness to your pelvic floor. I want you to feel a lengthening through the pelvic floor as the weight of your chest gently increases the back bend in this position. Try to surrender. However much you think you're relaxing in this position, I want you to relax a little deeper. Notice if you're gripping around your fingers. Try to allow the hands to be soft. Allow the weight of the body to surrender to gravity. You're halfway there. What can you let go of as you surrender in this melting heart position? The melting heart pose is a heart opening pose. So notice if you feel vulnerability in this position. Try to find calm equanimity within you as you allow yourself to surrender. Find the space within your thoughts, and in that space, the stillness. Try to relax into the stillness. Notice if you're gripping. Notice if there's any tension around the hips. Imagine the pelvic floor is lengthening and opening as you allow the weight of your belly to relax towards the floor. resisting the temptation to hold yourself, but rather surrendering. Deeply letting go. Feel the surrender from the feet, all the way through the legs to the hips. And then feel the letting go all the way from the hips through the body to the head and the arms. And then start to take the first of 3 long, deep breaths. Each inhalation expanding through the stomach and the pelvic floor. And on your final exhalation, take a little movement, bring the arms around underneath the elbows and gently press back into a child's pose. So you can bring your knees together for this child's pose and just bring the arms behind you. So closing off the heart, closing off the hips. Relaxing into a little ball, surrendering and allowing a little reset before we begin to come up for our next position. So we have several options for the next pose, which is the dragon pose. So the first option with the dragon pose is to use multiple bolsters and a chair, so you have ample support to allow you to surrender. So for this version of the dragon, you're going to sit on 2 bolsters. Just allow that back leg to come back and notice if the knee is pressing the floor. You can double the blanket underneath the knee and just make sure that there are no creases or no uncomfortable parts in these. Smooth everything down before you sit. And this is the variety of this pose that you will take if you have a lot of tension around the hips. So for this version, you allow the back leg to extend and you relax, surrendering through the front of the extended hip. Now the full expression we come into from a downward facing dog, and we just allow that hip to open towards the floor as we relax down. And we're going to explore then using bolsters for support. So these are midway positions. So the first is with 1 single bolster, or you can take a second bolster. So for this, we will demonstrate with the second bolster. So taking your time to come into whatever position feels right for you. You can pause the video while you set up if you need to. Taking any final adjustments before we begin our relaxation. Noticing how it feels around the hips. So allowing the hips to be heavy. We're going to spend 3 minutes on each side in this position. So starting in a place where you feel maybe a little tension, but you should not be feeling pain. So if you need to make some gentle adjustments, please do so. It should feel comfortable underneath the back knee. So whichever variation you're in, making sure that that kneecap feels comfortable. And then bring your awareness to the hip on the outstretched leg. I want you to feel the lengthening and the opening across the front of that hip. So this hip is extended. Notice how the pelvic floor feels on that extended side. Try to let go of any sensation of gripping through the hip or through the pelvic floor on that extended leg. And then bring your awareness to the opposite side. So I want you to notice the minor compression on the bent hip. So you have a flexion that is a little deeper due to this dragon position. Try to allow the weight to rest into the bolster, or if you're on the chair, you can rest on the chair. Wherever you're surrendering your weight, try to allow the weight of your hips to be heavy. Notice how it feels around your shoulders. Keep letting go of tension. Notice if you're gripping with your fingers. You can allow the back side of the hand to rest on the floor to resist the temptation to grip the floor, the bolster, or anything else. And as the time is passing, the weight of the hips is gently stretching. So this is a deep stretch through the pelvic floor, asymmetric pulling from left to right. Try to allow the lengthening that happens as you surrender. If you're in the full expression of the pose, just make sure not to relax into pain. And wherever you are, begin to take the first of 3 long, deep breaths. Imagine breathing into the pelvic floor. And on your 3rd exhalation, gently pressing the hands into the floor, we're going to come to a supported downward facing dog. So just take a moment to press into the hands, and you can rest your head on the bolsters if you've gone for the supported version. Now, if you're using the chair, you can just turn things around. So pause the video if you need to and take a few moments to get yourself set up on the other side. If you were using the supported version on the floor, make the adjustments to the bolsters in order that you can take the position on the opposite side. And we're going to come into this either sitting on the bolster if you've got the chair option, or coming to a split squat position and then resting forward on the bolster, sending the leg back. So finding your way into the position on the opposite side, taking whatever adjustments you need to. This is your time to find your tension and to relax in your own body. So we begin the relaxation by noticing how it feels on the hip of the extended leg. So that hip is open, and in that openness, can you allow a lengthening? Notice how it feels under the knee on that extended leg. So you should not feel any discomfort there. If you do, take a moment. You can fold the blanket a little heavier under the knee to provide some support. As you relax here, I want you to notice the gentle compression on the flexed hip. So in the front leg, how does it feel around that hip? Notice how the pelvic floor feels from the left side to the right side. Observing the difference with your mind. Allowing a softening of all the tissues around the hips and the pelvic floor. Allow the body to be heavy as it rests, either onto the chair, onto the bolsters, or onto the floor. You're halfway there. What can you let go of as you surrender? Notice how it feels through the spine. Find the tension in your body and allow a relaxation and a lengthening anywhere you feel tension. Try to let go even more than you believed possible. And notice where your mind goes. as you allow yourself to relax into the discomfort within your own body. Can you allow that feeling of tension, that feeling of discomfort to melt away as you surrender deeper into this dragon pose? Taking any adjustments you feel you need, and then preparing to take the first of 3 long, deep breaths. Imagine that you can breathe the tension away, inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. And then gently bring the hands under the elbows, press into the hands, and come back to a downward facing supported dog, head resting on bolsters if you have them beneath you. You can shake your hips from side to side or make some little rolls, whatever your body feels that it needs. And then coming down onto your knees, moving your props out of the way. You can outstretch the legs and shake them a little. Come to a comfortable seated position, and that is the end of our practice.